Thank you, Rick Braun, for Midnight Color theme. Copyrighted 1992 by Mesa Records, a division of Mesa slash Blue Moon Recordings Limited, distributed in the United States by Rhino Records. You gotta love this stuff on YouTube, I swear. Yeah, well, as I said, it was a Midnight Color theme, and it's about 1 o'clock. Give a few more minutes. 1 o'clock in the morning. Mornings, fellow zombies. Are we alive yet? Are we grumbling yet? It's only Wednesday, the 27th of July, 2022. August is going to be coming up in several days. Are you then going to be grumbling more and more then? Because right now, everybody else is grumbling and griping in every other kind of field we've got out there. I tell you, the world's gotten even heavier and heavier that every time I keep turning on the news, we got more and more people trying to kill each other. The heat's driving us insane to where we're going to stealing cars left and right and getting into accidents and then running away. The favorite thing about police chases is you're watching all this stuff and you know the guy's going to get caught. But every once in a great while, they don't. Taking point, there was a motorcyclist early in the, well, let's see, late in the afternoon of San Fernando Valley, going on the freeways. He gets off somewhere on Moore Park. He's diddling around the area. Chips and the LAPD decided that's enough. We're not going to deal with this guy. So I don't know whether or not if they actually found the mad cyclist or not. But this guy on a motorcycle was a maniac. A royal pain in the ass. You gotta love these guys. Meanwhile, back at home front, while we're cooking out here in the deserts, a friend of mine was getting herself checked out. I got pissed off enough when I heard that our local dialer ride, sponsored and run by our very own Kern Transit Corporation and another private entity at this point over here, but administered, nevertheless, by Kern Transit. Regarding the dialer ride system we have out here, it's much like the Access system. Except we can get return trips and Access, you still have to reschedule to get return trips. But with the dialer ride we've got in local Roseman, there's only one bus, one van. That just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We don't have two or three. We don't have an army of them, as other cities may have, an army of buses. No. We have we have uh, express transits coming in and out of Rosemont to get to Lancaster and also go north to Bakersfield and Mojave and places like that. So they go through the town. But the dialer ride is the most important one because this one we get the return trip. We got at least a 2 hour or 3 or 4 hour window, and then we get back on the thing and then we go. 2 hour minimum basically. A friend of mine, as I said before, she was checking up on herself. She don't exactly do very well when it comes down for heat, especially when we're talking about 102 roughly, about in Lancaster, and it's about the same in Rosemont at this point. And she was trying to get the schedule back to get home. She kept saying it was full. Her stop was at our grocery store area. In the area, there are places for her to cool down for a little bit. However, the thing that got her ticked off was she still needed to pick up medications at her local drugstore. And the dialer ride was still doing drop offs and pickups. And in the heat in the afternoon, where it was just sapping it out of her and she was not doing the greatest, They wouldn't even allow her on the damn thing. Wouldn't even allow her on the damn bus. She was willing to pay for the damn thing. She had a bus. She'd be able to get on it and no problem. But the problem is with the computer system that they've got in current transit and how they're using it in the dispatch. That's the problem right there. And especially if the computer doesn't allow any more bookings, even for an emergency situation. The drivers are not allowed by some kind of weird ass regulation somewhere of not acting human enough to say, come on board, I'll take you home. No problem at all. No. Basically, they were getting word from the dispatch for the computer, and probably from management at this point over here because of some weird ass regulation. She was going to be stranded. She was almost about a mile away, and it was hot as hell, and she couldn't even walk in this heat. There was no way in hell. And she was suffering through heat stroke, or almost heat exhaustion right there, almost on the verge of stroking. She called 911. And current fire department actually showed up. Wasn't the ambulance service, but it was fire department. Which meant she was able to get onto a fire engine, or at least some fire designated vehicle, and take her home. Take her home. And make sure that she was all right. There's kudos and lauds need to be given to the fire department for caring that much on a 911 call. Because they know how heat stroke and heat exhaustion can happen in any kind of environment we got. But current transit doesn't realize this. Current transit does not understand this. Only because of certain regulations or rules that they've got going over there. In an emergency situation, and if somebody's asking for a ride, and you're saying, no, I can't because I'm full. The bus is almost empty. They're getting maybe one or two people over there. But the scheduling computer says otherwise. That's all full. Meaning they probably had other rides lined up. And she just could not be squeezed in even for an emergency take home. It would have taken them about 5 or 10 minutes. Now, usually when you get the pickup and you get the dump off, the pickup you get about a 30-minute window, and within that 30-minute window, it's from the time you schedule, and you get 30 minutes afterwards. It's in that window that they're doing other things, trying to get to that pickup. Now, the difficulty in Rosemont right now is we do have elderly, we do have disabled people, and other people who can't deal with the heat are depending upon transportations like that. And you can't get out enough to deal with the heat unless they're coming back from other places. And we're so spread out laterally from east to west, it's not even funny. I think we got about a 12 or 13 or 15 mile, or maybe a 20-mile stretch from the west end all the way over to Edwards Air Force Base. I'm guessing. And there's about maybe 3 or 4 mile stretch between Rosemont Boulevard. So kind of get the idea like that. And if you need to, Google map the damn thing. If you want me to, I'll just Google map the damn thing myself. To show you what the hell's going on here. Alright. What I need now is default. Okay. Hell. Just show the regular. What I'm trying to do right now is demonstrate just how far we're dealing with here. Alrighty. You see that map? That's up and down. Up is west, actually east. Down is west. Okay? I had to lengthen it like that. That's my town. The little red heart is, and the blue area is where I live in Roseman, on the other side of the 14 freeway. It's a short area, about a mile stretch between United and Sierra Highway. Just about a mile. After that, you've got about maybe 3 or 4, 5. It extends all the way from Sierra Highway down to 170th Street West. All right, I said about 20, but to me it looks like it was about 20. But I'll show you something also. In those block areas, in those block areas, okay? Oh, maybe I won't show up. You just gotta take the word at this point that we have it partial. We have a lot of people extending from Roseman Boulevard. When they're going north, it goes about. Ooh, they still got desert areas, and then it's just bleh. Okay, I'm getting out of it at this point over here. But the point is, it's a lot of territory. We only have one dial-a-ride bus from Kern Transit going up and down the place, all throughout the all throughout the corners. So they get to know the people left and right. They get to know our driver. We get to know drivers. They get to know the people. So it becomes a family affair out here. Now I may give some sour kudos to the driver who couldn't go past the company corporate rules of actually helping somebody else out who needed help just for a short distance. I know how much they need their jobs. I know. But when you're talking about heat, and a lot of it, it's called human compassion. And unfortunately, the driver made the mistake of not demonstrating it enough. So yes, what I had done was I made and lodged a complaint with the company and the dispatch. It may, or I'll say it will, backfire on me regarding what I said in my text, in my tweet over to the company, and they'll be getting it in a few hours from now. Because I don't think it's appropriate and I don't think it's fair for them to do this to people who are disabled, who cannot stand the heat, who cannot tolerate this, or are about to be on the verge of heat exhaustion, and they couldn't be compassionate enough to give a ride. I'm not talking about getting a ride over to the damn hospital, which is about 20 miles away from us, roughly. I'm talking about to the home, which is like less than a mile or half a mile. Maybe 15 minutes or less. Maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Surely that much would have, you know, it could not have hurt the company that much or the driver. But yeah, I'm venting about it. Because if I happen to be in a situation like that and I need it, and I'm going to be dying in the heat at this point over here, am I going to be calling 911 for for a taxi ride? I have to address this to the County Board of Supervisors of Kern on this one. They're the ones who are owning the company. They're the ones controlling the company. They're the ones making the rules at this point over here. It makes it impossible for Kern Transit to be human. Including the drivers have to deal with a computer system that tells them and locks them in. Not to mention the drivers. And the thing is, the computers are not controlling the cars. Drivers are. Drivers are. They're the ones that has to make the decision left and right. So even though I can complain to the drivers about this one, it's also going to the dispatchers who have to follow the computer constantly at this point. And then it's their own supervisors, which is the company, which is the board of supervisors themselves. Now, a long time ago, they wanted to raise rates again, about 5 or 6 years ago. They wanted to raise rates on the bus lines. Hardly anybody showed up for it. Only about 3 people downtown to Bakersfield. Hardly anybody could get over to Bakersfield. For about 1 or 2 months, they had posters and notices on their buses and on the bus routes. So I suppose Kern at that time, actually Roseman at the time, didn't care enough to send anybody. Neither did the rest of the county because maybe they didn't get the word for it. Except for the 3 people they knew they were going to be affecting. A caregiver to a charge and another elderly person who was coming from a different part of Roseman. Luckily for us, we got up there and got back with no problem. Only because Kern was paying for the transportation bill. And now, because of the COVID kicked in, we have a line nearly eliminated and also a particular stop eliminated because of the COVID situation. And other things happening in the board of directors, in the county board of supervisors. So that's another thing we have to modify a great deal. Things I don't have to like, but things I have to deal with. In the next few weeks, I'm going to be going back over to Antelope Valley College to continue another year or two. Hopefully to finish it out. And we'll see what happens afterwards. But in the meantime, this is putting me on edge. Because now I don't know how the hell I'm going to be able to trust both Kern Transit and the county of Kern regarding transportation situations to and from Lancaster, and also whether or not I'm going to get any transportation from the Dial-A-Ride system. Only because if I happen to make any waves about it, unfortunately things like this happen sometimes. At least I've heard that. But I've also heard it happen too many times, coming from passengers in person. And they wouldn't even want to talk to the bus drivers about it. So we know some of the bus drivers know what's going on. I hope that particular bus driver on the dial-a-ride this morning, or actually yesterday morning, the incident happened around 2:45 p.m. in the afternoon, right when it was just cooking us alive. I hope that particular driver in a dial-a-ride understands it was an emergency situation and you damn near let her die. And this is the harshest critic I can ever say. Are you going to be doing that to everybody who needs it the most? I'm worried about the repercussions because if I happen to run into a situation, I may be denied because I made waves. Because I actually cared about the passenger who damn near died and she was a friend of mine. Yeah, there's the motive for the video. She damn near died in the street and called 911 and got the fire department to take her home. A few blocks away. 5-minute drive. It wouldn't have killed the bus driver or dispatch or the county board of supervisors. I'm sorry, it probably will. It probably will kill him next time. Because we may have someone on the street who needed help, couldn't get the help from Dial-A-Ride, and in a heat storm we're dealing with right now, had to pay the price for